Warning, there will be spoilers ahead for the Star Wars animated short series Tales of the Jedi. If you haven't seen it, proceed with caution. Tales of the Jedi is here, and we finally got more Clone Wars style animation. The show is a 6-episode series of short stories. 3 stories of Ahsoka Tano and 3 stories of Count Dooku. Each tale bridges the gap between movies and beyond. The Count Dooku story will be the topic of today's conversation, particularly his turn to the dark side and how it may contradict his story in the novel Dooku Jedi Lost. If you love Star Wars as much as I do, then you've come to the right place, because that's all I talk about here. And I upload, well, whenever I feel like it, really. So if Star Wars is your thing, go on and hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications to join the fast-growing army of Star Wars fanatics. Now, on with today's topic. If you're a Star Wars fan because of lightsabers, the Force, Sith Lords, and Jedi, then Tales of the Jedi is the show for you. It contains these elements and so much more. This animated series, done in the style of the Clone Wars, leaves you wanting more and more and more. But there's a disturbance in the Force. Focusing on Count Dooku's story, specifically the episode titled The Sith Lord, there's a slight inconsistency, or so it seems. But stick around, I'll be going into detail about it, and I have a possible explanation for the seemingly inconsistent story between this episode and Dooku Jedi Lost. The episode begins just after Qui-Gon Jinn encounters Darth Maul for the first time, during the events of the Phantom Menace, of course. It opens with Count Dooku using Master Sifo Dyas's code to delete the Jedi archives of the planet Kamino, the cloning facility planet that the clone army was being created on. The rumors that Qui-Gon encountered a Sith Lord caused Count Dooku to ask his old apprentice about the incident. When speaking with Qui-Gon, he says, "I have been warning the Council for years, never to be taken seriously." Now, this may be accident, but listen to the way he sounds the word seriously. The way he rolls his R makes it sound almost like he says sidiously.
I've been warning them about the coming darkness for years, never to be taken seriously.
Now, I know the word sidiously is not a real word, but it's interesting that he's telling about Sith Lords in this conversation. It's almost like he was dropping a hint to Qui-Gon and his accompanying council member, Yaddle. I just found that curious. It may be nothing, though. Moving on. Once Count Dooku's conversation with Qui-Gon Jinn and Yaddle is complete, the scene shifts to Dooku staring at the great tree at the Jedi Temple. The time has jumped to just after the events of the Phantom Menace, and Qui-Gon Jinn had been killed by Darth Maul. As the story progresses, Yaddle follows Count Dooku to find out he's been conspiring with the Sith Master, Darth Sidious, aka Chancellor Palpatine. One thing leads to another, and spoiler, big spoiler, 3, 2, 1. Dooku kills Yaddle to hide his secret and profess his intention to really begin his journey as a Sith Lord. As I said, this takes place just after the Phantom Menace. It helps bridge the gap to the events of Attack of the Clones. That's the story from the perspective of Tales of the Jedi. But how is it inconsistent with the novel Dooku Jedi Lost? In that novel, we learn that Count Dooku leaves the Jedi Order to take his father and his brother's place as Count of his homeworld of Sereno. He leaves the Jedi on good terms, and Yoda even tells him they will always be friends and basically not to lose contact. Now remember, that's during Dooku Jedi Lost, the novel. Now I know a lot of people will say this is horrible writing. How could they do this? Disney keeps ruining Star Wars and so on and so forth. But is it really inconsistent? No. Why would he reveal his true intentions when leaving the Jedi Order? Why would he reveal that he killed Yaddle? Hey guys, I've actually become a Sith Lord. You're all cool and everything, but I gotta go. Nah. After killing his wicked brother on Sereno, it left a power vacuum, a position that would poise Dooku to further the goals of Darth Sidious's plans of war, a means to begin a true separatist alliance. In the novel, it didn't really go into any detail about his interactions with Sidious during that time, during the time between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, that is. So this animation actually fits the story of Count Dooku rather well. There's been a lot of speculation that Yaddle was Grogu's mother and beyond that. What happened to Yaddle after the Phantom Menace? It doesn't answer the first question, but now we know at least what happened to her and why she wasn't present in Attack of the Clones. Brilliant job to Dave Filoni for this one. Count Dooku's turn to the dark side could have been told so many other ways, but I think he found the best option. An option that showed a sympathetic Yaddle who would stand up for Dooku if he did the right thing. Instead, Dooku struck her down, sealing his fate as yet another pawn to the grand plans of Darth Sidious, another apprentice that would further his plans and carry on the next step of his takeover of the galaxy. Each of Sidious's apprentices served a purpose for a time. Then, when they were no longer needed, he put them into situations he knew they would not survive, moving him on to his next apprentice, until he gains Anakin Skywalker, turned Darth Vader. Darth Vader survived every attempt on his life that his master threw at him, but that's a story for another video. I made a video a year or so ago, maybe even 2 years ago, about how Count Dooku was a tragic character, along with Darth Maul, and how Darth Sidious was not only manipulative to the Republic and the Jedi Order, but also to his own apprentices. Duh, that's pretty obvious. How he promised them power and a seat at his side in the new empire. Instead, Count Dooku became another victim of his plans. This episode of Tales of the Jedi actually makes one feel sorry for Count Dooku. It has a lot of emotion, not just in his turn, but also in the discovery of Qui-Gon Jinn's death at the hands of Darth Maul. We can see regret in his face, sadness in his actions, but still the darkness inside him. The only real question I have for this, we aren't Jedi as viewers, yet we can see the darkness in Count Dooku. We can see the darkness. So why is it that an entire temple of Force-sensitive Jedi, there wasn't one of them that sensed this darkness? It could be played off as we know his fate and we're looking for it, or that we are even permitted to see it from a third-person point of view, or that the Jedi were naive in believing the darkness had returned. But if Luke Skywalker could sense the darkness in young Ben Solo, how is it that Yoda, Yaddle, and even Mace Windu couldn't sense the darkness in Count Dooku? They all had a better understanding and connection to the Force than we do. They were around Count Dooku a lot from what we've seen. They even say that the dark side of the Force surrounded Chancellor Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. And this was during a time when the dark side was stronger, and it clouded their ability to focus on the light side. Dooku would have stuck out like a sore thumb. Maybe I'm mistaken, and maybe he was able to hide it very well. But it does create a slight hole in the storytelling. And the novel alluded to the thought that Count Dooku had not turned to the dark side before leaving the Jedi Order for his home planet of Sereno. We all know he had been helping in the creation of the clone army, and that the Jedi archives had been deleted by him. But it also seemed like it was actually Sifo Dyas that deleted Camino from the banks in the novelization and in subsequent films and animated series, The Clone Wars. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your theories on it. This is Gerald from Star Wars Fanatic signing off, wishing you all great health, happiness, and peace. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way, the only way.